Hey, what's going on YouTube? So the Raiders did lose to the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. Maxx Crosby, man, he was visibly frustrated after the game, seemed really pissed off in the press conference, and I think it's because there was a lot of holding going on him. When you look at this game, the Raiders should have dominated in the pass rush. Kansas City offensive line is weak. They're on their third string tackle, Andrew Wiley. And so let's go ahead and take a look at this press conference tape. We'll take a look at some pictures of these holds. I have pictures of them, and let's see what we think.
There seemed to be a couple of plays there where, like, maybe the frustrations of the game kind of boiled over for you. Can you just talk about what those frustrations were in this game?
If you're trying to set me up to say something I don't want to say, I'll pass on that. It's a frustrating game. Things happen. It is what it is. Just got to play smarter, I guess.
Yeah, so that was one thing that I picked up on right away. The reporter saying some things that were frustrating you into the game, indicating that maybe it was some kind of like penalties that are not being called, right? And that's why Crosby's saying, hey, you're trying to set me up. Because here's the thing about the NFL. If you criticize the refs as a player or a coach, you will get fined a lot of money. And that sucks, especially when you're still on a rookie deal like Maxx Crosby. You can't risk that kind of cash. So, hey, I think the frustration is definitely about the officiating.
Despite everything that happened, you went up against another Eastern Michigan alum tonight on the line of scrimmage, even though despite it didn't work out the way that you want to. Was it a fun matchup for you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good time.
The Eastern Michigan alum that this reporter is referencing is Andrew Wiley, the third string tackle. So Crosby is super stoic, pissed off here, gives a one-word answer about playing with his former college teammate, because the reporter says, hey, despite the outcome, did you have fun basically playing with your former teammate? And Crosby is saying, yeah, whatever. It's because he's pissed off because he knows that Wiley got away with a bunch of holding calls on him. And so that's why he's pretty much saying no comment on this. Hey, and here is part of the reason why Maxx Crosby was so frustrated. We'll go through a couple images of some of the holds that happened tonight. Andrew Wiley blocking Maxx Crosby right here. Clear hold. This is from a meme I found on Reddit. But look at here. You see it. There's the right hand and even the arm bar. So not only does Wiley have his hand gripping Crosby's jerseys there, as you see on his shoulder up here, but he also has his arm. And so that still counts as a hold too if you have him in some sort of arm bar right there. So holding on two different levels right there. This is the image you might have noticed in the thumbnail of this video. You can see here we have two people holding Maxx Crosby. Unique Ngakoue is there on the bottom, but you see they zoomed in a little bit here. You have an armbar from number 65. You also have Wiley holding two. And this is another example where it's a double team hold on Crosby. No wonder why Mahomes had a ton of time to complete passes. Wow. And then here is another example. You see that arm inside by Wiley. Crosby is clearly coming in here, and he has to hold him in order to prevent him from getting to Patrick Mahomes. And I actually have a few frames later. You could see he continues to hold, and Wiley even has his arm around him at a certain point, almost hugging him from behind. So we see starts here. As it progresses, Crosby fights through the hold, and bam, we get to this point, allowing Mahomes enough time to make an easy pass. Now, I personally do not think the defense was to blame for this loss, so I don't really think this matters too much. At the end of the day, the Raiders' offense needed to score points, and they simply couldn't for the first half of the game for consecutive week. I don't think Crosby being held like this was the deciding factor of the game. However, I do believe this is a huge trend that's been happening for Crosby. He leads the NFL in QB pressures, but doesn't have as many sacks as players like Myles Garrett. And I think it's because when he does get a pressure, he ends up getting held by a lineman. And the referees, for whatever reason, are not generous to Maxx Crosby when it comes to holding calls. And I find this scenario that happened on Sunday highly improbable. We know the Chiefs have had injuries on their offensive line. We saw that Andrew Wiley was going to be starting. You were expecting the Raiders to have an amazing pass rush against them because the Raiders have done well against other teams. Like I said, Crosby leading the NFL in pressures, Unique Ngakoue, a top 10 edge rusher in the NFL, and the Chiefs, third string tackle going up against Crosby. And there you have it. Crosby held to only 5 pressures, no sacks from any other lineman, so Mahomes was not sacked at all in this game. It's not even the fact that it's the Chiefs, it's the fact that this is uncharacteristic of this Raiders defensive line for the whole entire season. When they've played anybody else, they've never had this issue. You would think the Raiders would have benefited from the Chiefs not having depth on their offensive line. However, it seemed to have had no impact at all on the game. So essentially what I'm saying, though, is Crosby has a right to be frustrated after this game. And I think that's why he was very quiet in the press conference. He was upset. Obviously, you don't want to lose a game. But when the reporters are kind of rubbing it in his face by talking about Wiley and his matchup with him, that has to piss you off, especially if you know, man, that guy got away with a lot of tugging on me, you know? Raiders defense as a whole did struggle in some areas, but no pass rush this game. We've already explained why we think that. But the coverage wasn't able to be as amazing as previously. Casey Hayward still had a really nice day, 1 for 4 with receptions and targets, only allowing a 39 passer rating. However, Jonathan Abram, you saw him struggle, give up that key touchdown against the running back. Jonathan Abram, he allowed 10 for 10 with his receptions and targets, 134 yards, 158 passing. A lot of those yards, yes, did come on the reception from the running back, but Kelsey had his way with this team. He did well against Nate Hobbs. I saw him lined up, Abram, and it just seemed like we didn't have a response to Travis Kelce. And this is a trend that's been happening with the Raiders versus the Chiefs every time they play them. And I know this defense is significantly different than it was last year, but we just still don't have anybody who can cover Travis Kelce. Last time we played the Chiefs, we relied on Damon Arnett, our guy Netway, to cover Travis Kelce. And obviously that didn't work out either. I really do think the time of possession had a big impact on this game. And the fact that the Raiders pretty much didn't convert on third down, forcing the defense to be on the field for a huge portion of the game. I mean, the time of possession was essentially 35 minutes for the Chiefs, 24 minutes for the Raiders. So a whole 10 minutes, you can't have that happen in a game. The offense needs to help the defense rest, but defense didn't play well. But I don't want to criticize the defense here because I think the first half holding the Chiefs to 17 points, huge victory by the defense, allowed the Raiders to stay in the game, quite frankly, because the Raiders offense had plenty of opportunities to get going. From the get-go, Mahomes had the first drive, goes 3 and out against our defense. Then, Derek Carr has an opportunity and their offense, and they don't take advantage of it. And so, boom, defense is back out on the field, and of course, the Chiefs score the first touchdown of the game. Cleveland Farrell did have that one pass deflection. I was stoked to see him make a play, but unfortunately, there's not a lot of positives to look at from this game. I still think the Raiders obviously have the talent to make the playoffs this year. I don't anticipate the defense regressing, and I don't think they regressed in this game. I think they're put in a very tough situation, so let's hope that they can get back on track against the Bengals. It's going to be tough going up against Joe Burrow, but be on the lookout for this channel. We'll be monitoring closely what's going on. We'll be taking a look at the tape, trying to see what's going on with the Raiders right now and taking a huge L here. But my name is Wi-Fi Willie. Thank you for joining me. Remember to like this video and please subscribe and ring the bell to get notifications to get updates on this channel, man. Hope to see you soon.